see us. Hopefully everyone can hear us. I'm sure they will let us know if they can't. How are you guys doing today? What's up? You know, it's funny. I used to find it hard to come up with things to talk about on these, and since I started doing the Twitch streams by myself, it's a lot easier to talk about absolutely nothing. Like, I feel like now, if I go to a networking event, I'll be like fucking dope at small talk because I'll be able to talk about nothing all day. It's great. So for my job, luckily I'm able to do a lot of my job from home, but I still do have to go out and run around every once in a while. Huh. Let's see here. All right.
They
So
can
I'm
only hear
going to.
you.
All right. What about now? Start talking, guys.
Hey guys, can you hear us now?
Hey
Let us
guys,
know in
update.
the chat if you can hear us.
Yeah,
See
let us
if we're
know. We're
connected.
watching it. Definitely. We're watching the chat right now. Let us know. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know.
I think Skype.
Let me
I think
know.
Skype lied to me and told me that all of the audio comes through one feed when it actually comes through each one
3
individually.
feeds.
No, they're
Yeah.
saying they can still only hear you. Oh wait,
Okay. What
Blackwing.
Blackwing says
Blackwing just
better.
said much better.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, because we're on a delay anyway, so it'll take just a second. So everyone can hear us.
Yes.
Thumbs up in the chat.
All right.
Or yes
Great.
in the chat.
So I was literally just talking to myself for a couple of minutes. That's about talking to myself. So anyway, who do we have here in the chat? We've got Blackwing, Shining Ryan Hopper, Matt, who I'm
Hey,
assuming
Ryan.
is Matt Thompson, John Boys. Nope,
Lush
there's
hair.
Matt and Matthew Thompson. Those are two different people.
Nice.
Thomas Franco, Pikachu Master, Jared Hodges is in here.
Nice. What's up, Jared?
We got a pretty good group today. And I don't know, before we actually start talking about all the episodes overall, what did you like? Were you happy with what we saw?
Yeah, I thought it was actually pretty entertaining. I'm super excited to see some of the stories develop, and there were some things that were like, man, that just rubbed me the wrong way. So, but in general, I think this definitely is one of the more exciting seasons of Power Rangers. Like, it is actually captivating, and even the bad episodes are really not bad.
Daniel?
I agree. I'll definitely agree with you on that. For these 3 episodes in particular, of course, the third one was the best. You know me, I'm a fan or just like a fiend for exposition. Giving me a little bit more story is always something that's going to make me happy. The prior 2 episodes, you'll hear how I feel about them as we discuss them. So I guess that's the best way to say it.
I overall I kind of agree with you guys. I more or less liked all these episodes. There were definitely some things that kind of threw me off, where I was like, why is this happening like this?
Yeah.
But overall, they were the worst thing that I can say about it is they were fun. Like there wasn't
Yeah, and
there,
that
there
is
wasn't
not
anything,
bad.
Yeah, there wasn't anything where I was like, okay, this is stupid. I'm gonna stop watching this episode now. Before we actually get into these episodes, I do need to address what is happening after we end the stream today.
Yes, so excited.
So we are streaming early because after the stream, Joe is going to be talking with Justin Nimmo, or Nemo. Nemo is Nimmo. Is it like Captain Nemo,
okay.
or is it Nimmo?
Funny thing. He says Nemo, but in a story he told to someone when he was interviewing, he says his grandmother actually says Nemo.
Interesting.
So it was like, so which one do we do? And he's like, I say Nemo, and I'm like, okay.
All right, let's go. Let's go with Nemo. So,
yeah.
So Joe's gonna have about 15 minutes with Justin Nemo. We are going to take your fan questions here in the chat. So if you guys have any questions for Justin Nemo, just run them down right here. We'll collect them. And
Actually, maybe we should have them, like, if you can do, like, Q&A for Nemo, and then put your question there, just so it's easier to find in the
yes,
chat. Because I'm pretty
so
sure the
we can pull
chat
it
for
out.
Retro goes a little bit quick, so
Yeah,
it'll help
yeah.
us find it. And since we're pulling them for right after this, so make sure to put them in, speckle them in whenever the question, I guess, hits you.
Yeah, so some of this interview is going to be for our Patreon for Cosmic Protectors. So that will be going up early on Patreon. So if you want exclusive early access to that, go ahead over to our Patreon at patreon.com/Cosmic Protectors. Sign up, and you'll be able to see that interview before anyone else on YouTube does. However, this time your fan questions will be featured in next week's Retro Ranger wrap-up instead of being held for the Patreon. So we're kind of switching that around a little bit this time for you.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, let's get into the episodes.
True Blue for the rescue.
Now, I remember watching Turbo back when it was first on the air, and that was the last time I saw it. I saw the movie.
Okay.
I've seen the episodes like 20 years ago now, so I don't really remember a whole lot of what was going on throughout everything. I didn't remember that the cars were kind of like
Sentient.
yeah, non-speaking versions of Kit from Knight Rider.
Yeah, from Knight Rider.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have, what was it? Storm Blaster and Lightning.
Like
I already forgot.
Collector?
No.
Lightning
something.
something.
I don't.
Lightning Cruiser.
Lightning Cruiser. See, it started with a C. It did start with a C. And end with an R. I was close.
But yeah, so Justin, when we saw him at the last episode, he was supposed to go in space with the Rangers, but he had the opportunity to stay with his dad. His dad was trying to make amends after not watching him for a solid few years, because he had to close down the dojo like up north and sent Justin on his way. And the whole reason why Justin got powers in the first place is because he was kind of breaking the rules and on a field trip decided to visit Rocky and sneak under his bed like a creep and not tell anyone he was there. And because he overheard that Rocky was a Ranger, Justin magically became the Ranger because, shit, spoilers, like, you already know we're the Rangers, so I guess we got to make you one of them. And then he decided to stay on Earth.
I cut you off really quick there for just a second.
Yeah.
People in the chat are saying that you're a little echoey, so I'm going to turn your audio down a little bit.
Okay.
See if that works. Guys,
Okay.
let me know if how that's all playing out. If you can still hear her, if she's still echoey, or what's going on there. We will.
I'm also
we will
kind of
see.
talking into a fan because it's kind of warm, but I can shut that off and see if that'll help.
I don't know. I don't hear the echo coming through
Okay.
Skype, so
Okay.
we'll see. It might be a weird OBS thing.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll keep track of that. Just again, let us know in the chat. We'll see if we can fix it. Anyway, so yeah, back to the episode. At the beginning here, so something that kind of struck me as weird, just because I don't know the relationship between Justin and his father, was in the beginning when when Justin is being put to bed. His father, tucks him in, and then walks out of the room, and then turns around at the door and is like, "Oh, hey, by the way, I've got to go to the office tomorrow, so we can't hang out now." Cool. Like, it just seemed like a very odd.
Casual.
Yes, like for me, if I was directing the episode or that scene, I would have had that happen while his dad was at the bed and
Sitting on the bed and like, "Hey son, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but I'm a single father and it's hard. We're struggling to have money, even though they live in a really nice house.
Right.
They shouldn't be struggling for money with a family of two."
I understand that there's limited time in the to get all this kind of like exposition and story in, but it just seems like it was very haphazardly done at that point. It was just a weird setup for it.
Yeah, I get you on that too. I mean, they're still trying to reconnect though, I feel like. So.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm thinking. I'm just like, speaking as a single father, what is the transition when you're supposed to just, hey, I'm going to drop some bad news. Good night. Like, how do you do it? So I think his was like, all right, I'm gonna come in and say goodnight and all this and how much I love you, and then when I'm walking out, drop the horrible thing and walk right out the door. So it was like, he was like, oh son, I love you, blah
Parenting
blah blah.
101 from Daniel,
Yeah, exactly.
you guys.
See,
And then after that, the last thing, you're just like, P.S. Here's some bad news. Bye, and then walk out.
So I don't have kids. So this is going to show how out of touch I am with that reality. But I thought that was the kind of thing that you did, like as you're tucking the kid in, you like lean down in and whisper some like really fucking horrible shit in their ear, and then walk away.
That's a given. You do that for like all kids, even if they're not yours. You just lean into their ears, listen to me, you little so and so, and you say something bad, then you walk off. And like everybody knows, you're able to get one good hit in, but you have to be kind of smart about it. When a kid's passing you by in the park, you hate the kid, you're just like, oh, gee, oh, God, didn't see it there. Oh, my God. Okay, he's fine. You cuss a little bit at him. Hopefully they'll tell their parents, where'd you get that from? I don't know. As long as you say it in a tune, it works. Like, you're like, bleep, blop, bleep, bleep, blop, 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 bleep, bleep, bleep. They'll go home to their parents and just sing it in that same tune. And they're like, where'd you get it from? I don't know. There's a particular way you're supposed to do things with kids.
So and maybe you guys can also help with this part too. But I kind of feel like between like obviously the fight and everything all that kind of stuff happened in between. But I feel like really the only story in this episode, like the story stopped there after the dad was like, "Hey, sorry, bud, we can't hang out tomorrow," until Justin gets home and it's like, oh, hey, by the way, I saw these kids, this kid hanging out across the street with his dad, and now I feel like I'm a shitty parent. So let's go fishing because I'm gonna rip off what they're doing.
Well, no, but I like that tie around. A lot of times, like the A story doesn't ever get wrapped up, so the fact that they bookended it with that was actually kind of impressive for Power Rangers. For me,
I agree with that. Like I like that they followed up on that, but I feel like that was the only story. Like anything.
Yeah, because we don't want to see his dad.
Anything that happened in the middle there, like when Justin rejoined the Rangers and they got they freed the two Turbo Zords. Like I'm like, okay, what this doesn't mean anything to me. Like it just didn't.
Okay, but I want to pick up on something you said. Did Justin, and we might be jumping ahead, really rejoin the Rangers? Or does he just have the car and the morpher and he's just on Earth by himself?
Okay, that was what I was thinking as well.
Right, that's the crux of this.
Well, see, I thought the dad was gonna come home and find the car in the garage.
I thought so too, but it flies off into somewhere wherever it's housed normally when it's not in chains, Mad Max style, like being whipped like slave labor.
It should shrink down into like a Micro Machines or Hot Wheels toy that he can just pick up and hit a button on and like have it expand out when he needs it.
Expand, and then after that he can morph. But that's also kind of weird because now, okay, so we're just giving Justin these powers to hang around and do nothing with. So
yeah, and then what happened to Lightning Cruiser? Because there's no Red Ranger. Right. So do all the Turbo Rangers actually, like someone else can inherit the rest of the Turbo Ranger powers? Because I had just assumed that when everything was destroyed, the turbo powers were also destroyed.
That's what I thought. And then somehow it seems like not Lightning Cruiser, but whatever blaster.
Storm Blaster.
He happened to have a morpher hidden in his glove compartment.
Like an extra one,
an extra one the whole time. They could have been
extra keys. Like when you lock yourself out of the car, you have to have like the extra key somewhere underneath.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, okay,
I've learned that the hard way multiple times.
Yeah. But when that it could have been really easy for them. Like, oh no, we have no powers. But it's like, beep beep. Oh, okay, you have an extra one. All right, at least we got one. Or the red one, we have two. Or something. But no one knew about this, and when it happens, it's just so commonplace. Like, see, I don't get it.
What I think should have happened is Justin should have taken Storm Blaster and entered a Cannonball Run race across the country, and that should have just been its own thing. Because now he's got this Zord that he's competing against all these other people in just like regular cars. It would be great.
That just took a turn that like I don't even know how to reply to that, Josh. I don't know where you come up with these ideas, but whatever I'm expecting, it's like not even remotely close to what I think you're setting up.
On different ends, but I love it. It's just like I want to run with that. And then what will happen is like he's in this race, and it's like with other villains and the monsters,
Right,
and then
right.
old rangers, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Get out of here!"
It's like Mario Kart, but with Power Rangers people.
Yes, it would be so good. Oh,
Banana.
yes, banana. He's like, "Oh no, the blue shell." Oh.
Okay, I had another question. So, kind of talking about expectations for this episode, I thought there was going to be more of a beatdown between TJ and Justin, just because, like, the title of it is True Blue to the Rescue, which makes me think that Justin will be trying to kick out TJ. Because TJ is new blue. And it's like true also, blue. So we all recognize Justin as the true Blue Ranger, and now TJ's just an imposter.
Yeah, he's
like,
fake. He's fake.
It's a disrespectful title, in my opinion.
He's a faker.
Pretty much. I mean, you know,
but like TJ has to feel like shit. He was like, I was the Red Ranger, I was the leader, and now Justin comes back, and the car loves Justin. It's not protecting me. Like TJ could have easily used like Storm Blaster just as easily as Justin did. So I didn't understand what was the point of bringing Justin back, and where is it going?
Contract fulfillment.
There you go.
Right.
Maybe.
We're like, oh shoot. He probably came back. He probably showed up with like his dad. His dad's probably like a Hollywood dad. He's like, my son needs to be on TV still. He has one episode left. And they're like, you're right. Here we go. And,
so
you know,
for you guys in the chat who are familiar with the Sentai side of this, for the episodes that they used from Sentai for this, what was the storyline there that brought back the Blue Ranger in there? Was it even remotely close to what happened in Power Rangers, or was it just like completely rewritten? I have no idea, because I'm assuming that's one of the reasons that they brought him back, was like they were like, all right, well, we've got footage of the Turbo Blue and the in space Blue, so how do we do this?
Let's get this crossover done. So let's make it a thing. I mean, most likely that's exactly what happened. Thomas Franco says, "L, did you know that? Mega Ranger versus Car Ranger. So is Space Mega Ranger?
Is that what actually happened?
Yeah, I'm like, is Mega Ranger the space one, and then Car Ranger?
Because Car Ranger is Turbo.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly.
Right.
So
that
makes sense, I guess. Sentai counterparts of in space Turbo. Okay, so I guess that was it. Yeah, it was Car Ranger versus Mega Ranger, or Mega Ranger versus Car Ranger.
But was it actually versus? Like this is one of the things that I kind of hate about like superhero TV shows in general, is it's going to be hero versus hero, this versus that. It's not versus. They team up. Like Power Rangers versus Justice League. They fought for all of like 3 pages.
Coming through. Jazz are coming through for the win. So.
All right. What do you say?
Space is Mega. So
okay.
Mega Ranger. They did have a Mega Ranger versus Space, or Mega Ranger versus Car Ranger. And yes, it was exactly just as you said, Josh, which happens all the time. Oh, they meet up and they're about to fight, but it's really just a team up. And they team up and everything goes well. What I'm seeing right now,
so it's from a movie.
It was rewritten because the team up. Yep.
Okay.
It was rewritten because the team was supposed to happen. Yeah.
Interesting. So something else I realized in this episode that I don't know why it didn't click with me like 20 episodes ago, or any time in the past 20 episodes. The Rangers don't have individual Zords in this season.
No, it's just the ship and then like the outside head part, and they mash together, and then they have one pyramid head.
The shuttle that they flew up in, the Delta whatever, Delta Flyer or whatever that's called, and then that other piece to make everything together. But like it just never occurred to me that they didn't have because each of them have their own like glider things.
Yeah, but don't they have like all their ones, like like the rocket that's an attachment, and then the other thing, and isn't that all their own Zords or something?
Well, they all have their own weapons and their own gliders, but
But
like
the actual Zorbs that
like
come
actual
together,
Zords that come together
like
to
a
form the
whole
Mega
ship
Ranger. Yeah,
and-
it's just the ships.
Well, no. Oh yeah. Okay. Never mind. Okay.
And
Yeah.
so I looked it up. This is the only season of Power Rangers where the Rangers don't have individual Zords that come together to make up a Megazord.
But
Okay.
that's also why I kind of don't like it. Like, they never have the opportunity to, like, it was rare in Power Rangers anyway to fight individually in their Zords, but those are always my favorite episodes to see what individual powers the Zords have when it's not a foot or it's not just an arm.
Okay, I'm rethinking here. Didn't we just have the episode where they found like the key card thing, and they thought it was gonna lead them to Zordon, but it really led them to these things that Zordon had or something?
Yeah, like that. That's why we were like,
Individual-
is it ever going to come back? We don't.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck? I don't get that. Like, that was pretty much their individual.
Right. But
Yeah.
but we haven't that's been gone since that episode. Like
Yeah.
it never came back around again. Just like Justin having the car now, that it's just
It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
It's like
And
the
then
Mega
who has Lightning Cruiser? Like, there's a Blue Ranger that has Storm Blaster, but there's no Red Ranger that has Lightning Cruiser. And in Turbo, none of the other Rangers had a sentient car,
So the Mega
which
Voyager
sucks.
Mega Voyager doesn't come back. We have the blue car, the red car. Like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, I don't know. This specific conversation though is going to come back around again when we get to the Silver Ranger episode.
Yes.
Because that's actually really the point where I noticed it, and I'll talk about why once we get there. But
Because he's lonely like Tommy and his Dragon Sword. But yeah, just a reminder, put your questions in for Justin Nemo if you guys get the opportunity, or if you guys are just tuning in, we will be doing a Q&A with him, or Joe will be doing a Q&A with him after this. So if you have any fan questions for him, drop them in the chat.
Yep, and just one more time to reiterate, the interview with Justin Nemo is not going to be done live. We're going to do that off the air. Any fan questions that you guys submit here in the chat will be played during next week's Retro Ranger wrap-up. The interview itself will be available as an exclusive timed release for our patrons on Patreon, and it will then, at some point in the future, go live to the general public on YouTube.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Did we have any notes for this episode? We spent a lot of time on it, so just...
Yeah. Let me get down to those. There's actually a big block of notes here, but while I am going through the notes, if you guys could also go through and give us your ratings for this episode, let us know what you thought. We will get to that right after the notes and the errors. So let's start off with errors, because there's only two. When Ashley introduces Justin to Andros, she says he's from the space colony in reference to Andros instead of from a space colony, as if Justin already knew about it.
Yeah.
I noticed that too. But
it's a small thing, though.
It is. But since I hadn't seen Turbo in so long, I just kind of assumed that Justin knew, so it didn't matter to me.
Is the second one the night and day thing, where it's like the Zords are battling during the day, but supposedly this is happening at night when Justin's supposed to be sleeping? Is that the second error? Please let that be the second error.
It is not, but it should be.
It should be an error, because that was really weird, being like the Zords are battling in clouds, but they try to tone down the brightness to make it look like night, but it obviously was not night.
Definitely day for night shooting there. See, the second error is when Storm Blaster is escaping from the Piranatrons, who look like Merman from He-Man. Hands can be seen under the steering wheel. I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice that. I just noticed that Storm Blaster had the opportunity to like maybe save some Rangers, and two Rangers sacrificed themselves for a fucking car. And I was like, what, no. And then all the Rangers were captured. And the Storm Blaster, instead of saving any of those Rangers that were there, flew all the way to see Justin so he can have a cameo in this, where it's like, man, a lot of things have to happen for the story to happen, and I don't like stories like that.
You have to remember, the car also has already gone through a lot. It's already been...
But it knows TJ. I could see if it like didn't want to go to Andros because it doesn't know Andros, but like TJ Rode like was the commander of like the lightning car,
Yeah,
and it just left him to die.
you have to remember, it's just been whipped and beaten by the people that just
That
captured
is
the
true.
Ranger. So it's looking and it's kind of like freaked out. Like, I'm gonna go and save them. No, I'm gonna go get somebody else. Like I'm not gonna come. I'm not gonna try to go in and stop them when they already overpowered me and beat me and kept me in captivity. I'm not gonna go back by myself and try to stop them. The numbers don't work out. So I'm just gonna go find Justin, who I can give a morpher to, and he can, now increase the number of people that are coming to fight.
Okay, I have another question that is, I thought about it, and I know we're spending a lot of time on this episode, but it is something that has to be addressed. So these cars were in slavery since whenever they became Space Rangers for the last 20 episodes. Were all the Rangers just like, fuck it, we know these cars are sentient, but they're just cars, so let's leave them there?
Did they know that they were taken as slaves?
I don't think they did. In my head, I think the cars just go back to the little car parks whenever they're done. But apparently, they were in slavery and in chains and being whipped on a minute basis.
You have to remember, the Rangers lost. So, I mean, immediately, that should have been something that they did think about. Like, oh my God, we lost. They captured Zordon. We have no power. And then we run into Andros. Andros gives us power again. They didn't think about, hey, we have to right a few wrongs while we lost. They didn't think about that at all. They were just like, move ahead, go off to see Zordon. And everybody else, what the heck?
No, but I mean, they've done that to Ninjor. They've done that to the Blue Centurion. They've done it to every single thing. The Rangers don't care. The past is in the past.
Okay, once again, Ranger privilege. Let's start using that. Because
all right, I like that.
Listen,
Hashtag Ranger privilege.
When my car died in December, I just left it sitting at the comic book. I was like, fuck this.
Okay, so I guess they were captured and the Rangers are like, see ya. I guess that's why Storm Chaser went to Justin, because obviously none of the other Rangers even bothered to look for him.
Exactly. He's the only one that connects to me. The other ones, they were just like, man, whatever. We've got powers. You can die.
When Justin was praying at the beginning of I wish my friends are safe, he was actually just talking about Storm Chaser, and that's Storm Chaser heard his wish, broke out of his chains of bondage just to go save his friend Justin.
I believe it. Let's go to the notes, and then let's hit up the scores in the chat here.
Right.
This was the final unmorphed appearance of Justin Stewart, discounting archive footage used in Legacy of Power. He appeared morphed as the Blue Turbo Ranger, now an adult, in Power Rangers Super Mega Force episode Legendary Battle, and the extended edition. This is the first episode since Grandma Matchmaker not to feature Darkonda. This was the final appearance and acknowledgement of both Stormblaster and Lightning Cruiser. So we do. They're
lost again.
They're like Judy from Family Matters, where she just went up to her room to play one day, and we never saw from her.
And
again.
Never came back.
So dark.
I think our audience is a little too young to remember Family Matters.
Wait! It's gonna come back again in a second.
Okay, I can't wait for that second reference, Josh.
This episode is technically the equivalent of the team up with the previous team, with Justin representing Turbo and his former teammates representing in space. This is the first time a team up with only one member of the former team would occur, followed by Clash of the Red Rangers, the movie.
Well, that's not technically true, because all those Rangers were part of Turbo except for Andros. So technically, Andros is the only real Space Ranger, original Space Ranger. The rest of them from Turbo.
There's two addendums here. Unlike the other movie, this one does not use any footage at all from Denji's Sentai Mega Ranger versus Car Ranger, the Sentai film where the two teams met up. This is likely due to this team up only involving one member of the former team. Adam Park, Justin's former teammate as the first Green Turbo Ranger, also appeared during Space as well, marking 2 Turbo Rangers that appeared this season. However, he didn't appear in this episode, and when he does appear, it's not as the Green Turbo Ranger, but rather as the Mighty Morphin Black Ranger.
Okay.
And then the final note here is Justin's access to the turbo powers by way of Storm Blaster could foreshadow how TJ was able to use the red turbo powers in Wild Forces Forever Red, accessing the same power from Lightning Cruiser to join the Red Rangers in the battle against remnants of the Machine Empire.
Good job, fan continuity. I like how they try to string all this together so it makes some semblance of sense.
And one additional note, tying back to my reference of Judy from Family Members.
Did I do that?
Yes. Justin says that in this episode.
In the same tone that Steve Urkel does too, which makes him more annoying to me, which is so sad.
And he just he looked at the screen and did it in this wink,
the fourth
wink,
wall.
nod. Yeah. I was like,
yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciated it. I really did. I don't care what you guys think. Any reference to Urkel is always a great reference, okay?
You know,
Damn it.
I'm disappointed. I had the opportunity one night to go and hang out with Jaleel White at a bar because he's friends with this dude that I worked with on a TV show a few years ago, and I was working on something else. I don't remember what it was now, and I was like, no, I've got to get this other thing done. I can't go out tonight. I was like, I just kind of want to hang out with Urkel one night.
That would have been super cool. Missed opportunity, Josh.
I ran into him while he was shooting Fake It Till You Make It, his web series kind of show.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, hey! And all I did was mention Stefan Urkel in the episode where he dances to a Babyface song called "Coolin' You," and it was just that's all I talked to him about. And he was like, "Yeah, man, that was really cool because I didn't have to,
be nerdy
down and blah blah." He was like, "Yeah, trust me, I love that show. I tried to push it so I could be Stefan all the time, but they were like, no." How big of a pop they got when he transformed back into Urkel.
Yeah.
At the end of the episode, he was like, they said they'd never let me be Stefan. Even though he did it one more episode, he was like, they said no.
Well, I was at the when the series was ending, there was that long run when he had split himself, and Steve Urkel and Stefan Urkel were two individual people.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's another show. You can catch Family Matters Reborn here on the Illuminerdi starting next week.
Oh, nice.
I thought we'd just call it Family Matters.
All right, let's go.
But
back
I
to
wanted
Power
to talk
Rangers.
about some other references because I know the other week you were talking about maybe doing some recommendations based off of the episode. I had a few for this one, if you haven't seen Mad Max, I would suggest Fury Road. Especially the cool kind of cars and
so good,
it had those. I also thought it was very Star Warsy, but I feel like all these episodes are Star Warsy. And the one big one, if you didn't get the reference, they had the moon and Storm Chaser and Justin are going over it. That is a direct ET reference. It had to be ET.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man.
All right, let's
go.
Right.
I think that's all I had.
The Jawas.
Well, the Jawas are in the Silver Ranger episode.
Next
episode. We've actually got
that's I'll bring up Star Wars for the other ones, but this one for sure, E.T. and Mad Max. I feel like if you haven't seen it, it would help enrich this particular episode.
Absolutely. All right,
and Family Matters. It's not a movie.
Absolutely, Family Matters.
Yes, for sure.
Scores. John Boys 777 gives it a 4. Mikey Nerd Talk gives it a 3 out of 5. Jared Hodges gives it a 3. Larry Newbill gives it a 3 out of 5. Thomas Franco stuck a question in there for Justin Nimmo. I've copied that out, Thomas, so we will make sure to give that to Joe. And he gives the episode 5 out of 5. Pikachu Master 542 gives it a 3 out of 5 because all I know is Justin makes an appearance and fights with the Rangers and rides off into the sunset with Storm Blaster.
Yes.
Edward Sanchez Productions gives it a 4 out of 5. And he said Thomas Franco corrects one of us saying it's Storm Blaster, not Storm Chaser.
I kept saying Storm Chaser. Sorry, Storm Blaster.
Storm Chaser would be Bill Paxton and Twister.
It's Lightning Chaser, I think.
Lightning
Cruiser. It's Lightning Cruiser. Shit.
Nice. Oh my God, that's a good one.
Donnie Pearson gives it a 4.75 out of 5, and John Boy says that he does remember Urkel. Nice. True Master says that he thinks Ninjor left and threw into space. flew into space when he didn't have to mentor the Rangers anymore and is on Aquitar. That's just his theory.
Okay.
Thomas Franco says the once Ranger, always a Ranger was used again since Tommy said it in Zeo. That was a line to Justin.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Edward Sanchez also says that he met Jaleel White at a convention.
Oh wow.
And JDF was in an episode of Family Matters. So now,
Whoa!
wait. So Matthew Thompson, you're going to have to find out what episode number that was and what the title was, and we will watch that for part of one of the next couple of sometime in the next couple of weeks. We'll add that to our list of episodes that we review.
Okay.
And that is it for rating. So it seems like overall everyone pretty much liked this episode. Jared Hodges and a few others were kind of middle of the road with it. What about you guys? Daniel, what did you think?
This episode was like middle of the road for me. It was about a 3. I don't like Justin, so I think that's what kind of knocked the episode down for me. Just being honest, I hate Justin's character. I like him, I just don't like his character. So, 3.
Elle?
Yeah. I feel about the same. Like, there was no real purpose in bringing Justin back. Like, I didn't really understand it, but it was still super fun. Like, if it was a crossover episode, it's better than normal. So definitely also a 3.
I am going to go with a 3 as well. I thought it was fun, but pointless. This episode was the very definition of a filler episode, where almost nothing that happens in it really matters in the long run of anything.
Yeah. Same.
So, that's
all right.
That's going to wrap up episode number 17? 18.
I don't know.
This was 18.
18. 19 is Invasion of the Body Switcher. Or themes. Instead of Invasion of the Body Snatcher.
If one of you would like to run down the overall plot for this one, I will move on my screen up to the next episode.
All right, definitely. Also, before we do, Matthew Thompson's already given us an answer and says, Family Matters, Season 8, Episode 8, and JDF's character is named Skull as well. So that's kind of...
That's cool.
Yeah, man, it's a good episode. I remember it. But, okay. For this episode of Power Rangers, what was pretty cool and pretty interesting was that we got a phone call or a video phone call. What a FaceTime. We got a FaceTime from, what's her name? What is, she's
Astronema?
No, Divatox. Right?
Divatox.
Oh, Divatox. Oh, yeah, in the very beginning.
We got a FaceTime call from Divatox saying, wait, no, was that this episode? That was last episode.
That was the last episode because the whole thing about, hey, the car is gone and broke down. This is where Ashley and Astronema like switch places, or they don't necessarily switch places, but they look like each other. So it's like a really interesting dynamic, and especially since, I mean, we already kind of figured out that Astronema is Andros's sister. And I was hoping, like, maybe on Closer Encounters, they would, like, trigger the memory or something crazy. That's what I thought, too. I was like,
happen. They're, like, face-to-face here. They're going to realize what's going on, and that never happened.
But they can't because, remember, last time he saw her, he was a child, and so was she. He's not going to know what she looks like as an adult. So
I guess, but I was able to put it together with just the curly hair and the beads everywhere.
Come on. I mean,
but do you think, okay, were you worried about a Star Wars moment? Because Ashley has been hitting on Andros pretty hardcore, right? And when it's not Divatox, when it's Astronema, and it's like, hey, I'm the sister, and then maybe he would reciprocate those feelings into a weird sibling kiss. And I was like, no, is this real Star Wars? Is this going to be just like Star Wars?
I did kind of freak out about that. I was like, oh no, don't let it happen. Don't let it happen. They got it.
No incest.
But I did love the whole switcheroo.
It was fun.
It was. And
those actors are phenomenal. Tracy Lynn Cruz and what's her name? I'm blanking. Yes. Like, they do such a good job playing each other.
Very good. Like, playing each other, kind of mocking the other one's characteristics as what the character does, not actually them. It was good. And I was like, okay. A little bit of face off. It was a fun episode. There were so many opportunities that they did not let go of or forget. They took everything that they could as far as like, okay, we're going to make sure that you see that they have made the switch, and we're also going to use the switch later for a way to, hey, free our captive. And that was like, yo, okay, bravo. Every option you guys had, use it, you did. And it was
I
like thing that doesn't happen in Power Rangers.
I
Yeah.
also enjoyed when Astronema was deciding to use Body Switcher, and he's going through, I could turn you into this, or I could turn you into this. I can dance. I was like, what?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right. I was like, what does any of this have to do with it? And you can see she was already like, all right, I've had enough. Like,
Yeah.
she was like, yeah, turn me into this, all right? Just shut up and turn me into this. And I was like, bravo, I love it. I love it.
But it was super. I kind of wish that it's like out of all the Rangers, like she got turned into someone like TJ. I was like,
That would have been weird if she would have been like, hey guys, I'm TJ. And it would be like, no, you're not. Oh, shoot. It would have been done really quick.
but I wanted her to just like rub her like rock hard abs and be like, yeah, I am TJ. So good.
That was awkward for a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh.
also
rock hard
awkward
abs
for,
through my shirt.
for
Yeah,
a lot
right.
of kids, I guess, would be so two actresses from Power Rangers that I know of. The one that plays Divatox was in a movie back in the 80s with Johnny Depp and Jonathan Silverman called Private Resort.
Oh, wow.
And
Interesting.
it's one of those like stupid fun 80s movies. There's a few random people in that movie, but you guys should watch it at some point. It's fun, but she appears in that as like this really weird like hippie lady. And then there's the other one, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. But she was in Not Another Teen Movie. She was the one that was walking around naked the entire episode, or the entire movie. Serena
I've
Vincent.
seen that.
Serena Vincent. I don't remember who she was in Power Rangers, but I know that she was also in that.
Okay.
Oh.
All right,
Anyway, let's
watch that over.
let's get back to this episode here. So, for me, like again, I think they missed an opportunity for advancing the overall story. At the very end of the episode, we got sort of the introduction to Zhane that we see in the next episode. But other than that, there was no real forward momentum in here. It was just like, okay, here's another fun filler episode where Astronema and what's her name? The Yellow Ranger. Just
Ashley.
completely blacked on that. Ashley trade places, but outside of that, again, nothing really pushed the overall story forward at all.
I think they're building the suspense though, like having Astrona and like Andros in close proximity, like the reveal that will happen later. You want to go back and be like, oh my goodness, they were so close. How did they not know? How do you see this? And having something so funny in the beginning, especially like when she's fighting. Oh, wait, what are the minions called? I always forget. What are the putties? What are new putties called?
Shoot, I forgot.
Oh, yeah, crap, I don't remember either.
But she's like just kind of slapping them out of the way and like, oh, we're fighting. And super slapstick comedy. And at the end, it really ends in like this very mysterious, like heavy note. And that's usually not how Power Ranger episodes end. They're always like, yeah, best friends. Let's have a shake. Let's have a hug. Everything is great. And it's like, wait, what is that? Especially since they already set it up in Mighty Morphin of like, hey, inside of like whatever command center basement, someone is probably breeding new Rangers. Like Zordon's like, hey, guess what, guys? We have a mysterious white Ranger. And in my head, like before even thinking about the Silver Ranger, I was like, how many Tommies are there in that basement?
Oh,
you know, how many like frozen bodies of like future Rangers are we going to find down there?
Yeah. I agree. Oh, boy. Oh, what?
What? Quantron.
Quantron. There you go.
Thank
That's
you,
all
John
pretty,
Boyce.
and I saw it in the chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I saw it in the chat, and I was like, what?
Wait, Piranatrons were the ones with Divatox, though. What are the
Yeah,
No,
Quantrons.
Quantrons.
Quantrons?
Yeah,
Oh, Quantrons.
Piranatrons are the merman-looking ones.
Yeah, Quantrons. I'm after like how many episodes? 20 episodes.
20
You would think I would
episodes,
know this already, but I don't. My powers of retention are no good.
So
It
we do have to kind of cut short talking about this episode so we can move on to the next one because we went
Of
on for
course.
a long time on the last one. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the notes here with and a couple of things in the notes here are going to raise other questions that I have for you guys. But while we're going through the notes and the errors, if you guys in the chat want to give us your scores and again any questions that you might have for Justin Nemo, we will address those in a few moments. So notes. All of the other monsters that Body Switcher transforms into are recycled ones from Big Bad Beetleborgs. In that show, they were called Rocket Man, Cataclaws, Lotta Mugs, Unctuous, and Firecat.
Dear God.
Alpha 6's birthday present to Ashley is a music box. We never saw that get pulled out of the trash, did we?
Yeah, it's in the trash.
Yeah.
Ashley thinks that Alpha never got her a birthday present.
Yep. Alpha's a piece of shit to her from now on.
Yeah.
That's fine. Astronema's line, I wouldn't want to be a Power Ranger anyway, is quite ironic since she later becomes one in the next season. And not just that, but she also
I hope she's purple.
She later states that she loves being a Power Ranger in Super Mega Force.
Well, she's brainwashed right now, so her frame of reference is very limited.
Yeah.
This is the second episode in the entire Power Rangers series in which the title was a reference to Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The first was Zio's Invasion of the Ranger Snatchers. When asked what her birthday wish is and tells them... And when okay, I'm going to reword this a little bit so it makes sense to me. When Ashley is asked what her birthday wish is and says that she won't tell them, Cassie says, I bet I can guess. And she and Ashley look at Andros, meaning Cassie knows that Ashley loves Andros. That was
I think everyone
obvious.
knows that Ashley likes Andros. She's pretty blatant with her hard hits on him.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Well, I mean, especially later when she's giving him a hug and she looks over at Cassie and gives her like that winky face. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The last note here is Carlos and Ashley's lines respectively. So what did you wish for? And then Ashley says, duh, I can't tell you or it won't come true, are recycled lines from Power Rangers Turbo episode, Beware the Third Wish. So, again, whatever.
Nothing. Yeah.
Errors. Despite the fact that Ashley, as Astronema, was wearing black gloves, a bare hand presses the 335 combination when morphing.
Yeah, so, I think that's
old stock footage. Yeah, it's stock footage.
So yeah. But here's my question for that. So all of them press 335 though when they morph, right?
Yeah, it looks like. I mean,
we don't know. We had this question before of like, how do you know what the code is? But I know Andros for sure is 335 enter.
And then KO35 is the name of the planet. So I'm assuming 35 somehow is a reference to the planet that he comes from.
I think you might be giving them too much credit, Josh. But maybe.
Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, let's forget about that.
I don't know. Next error. The Mega Voyager used the Astro Megazord saber for some reason. Is that an error, or is that just, here's the weapon?
Something that happened? Yeah. That sounds more of like fun fact.
And the final error is that Cassie assumed that Ashley had returned to normal after Body Switcher was destroyed. However, it was obvious that she had returned to normal upon morphing due to her voice reverting back to normal at that point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
that makes sense. I kind of didn't really put that together while watching it, but that makes sense.
Yeah. So let's go to the scores from the chats. We've got John Boys 777 giving it a 3.5. Jared Hodges a 3. Larry Newbill a 3.5. Daniel Diaz says that he hasn't seen it, but he's giving it a 5 out of 5 since it's in space, and in space is his favorite season of all time of Power Rangers. So I question how you didn't see this episode if this is your favorite season.
Still
It means he didn't rewatch it with us.
Yeah, he didn't rewatch
he's just
it.
Got it.
Seen
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah, So Daniel, glad to see you back.
I know. Welcome back home.
Thomas Franco, 4.5 out of 5. Pikachu Master, 542, 3 out of 5. And Mikey Nerd Talk gives it a 2. What about you guys? L, let's start with you since I started with Daniel, whatever your name is last
Yeah.
time.
It was a fun episode. Like you said, it didn't really add too much, but it definitely had more than the last episode. So I might actually give this one a 4 because I do think it's developing, like setting the little breadcrumbs for a future payoff. And plus, it was just super fun to see the characters switch and them being like kind of over dramatic and how they walk and how they talk and everything else. It was really entertaining.
Daniel?
Hey, I'm giving it a 4 also. Like I said, I love the button scene at the end. And hey, who doesn't love Freaky Friday? So
Right?
give it a 4. Give it a...
I prefer vice versa with Fred Savage and Judge Reinhold.
Oh, that is better. That is so much better. Actually, that is so much better. You're right. You're right. But,
Edward Sanchez popped in at the last minute, giving this episode a 4, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 3.5.
That's pretty close.
I did like it better than the last episode, just because I thought it was more fun. Because again, I like seeing actors pretending to be other actors as other actors.
yes.
Like Hermione and Bellatrix in the whole Harry Potter when they go to the vault is one of my favorite scenes it's like so good.
Hey.
But even Ron and Harry when they're trying to be like those two like Goomba motherfuckers like that, it's just it's just funny.
It's funny. It's funny.
I just referenced Face Off, guys. That's all I'm saying.
So here, okay, this is a whole other conversation, but I'm gonna ask you this question: in Face Off, was John Travolta acting like Nicolas Cage acting like John Travolta, or was Nicolas Cage acting like John Travolta acting like Nicolas Cage?
Yes and yes. That is the answer.
I don't know which one they were modeling their behavior after.
Because at one moment when they start doing it, it's like, oh, okay, here goes Travolta acting as Cage's character. But then as it continues on, it's here's Travolta acting as Cage. Like, you know, it was just weird. It's like, he's like, like, you know, like Abed did on a freaking Community. It just goes wild. And that's yes on yes. That's
all right. So let us talk about the episode of the day. The one that really actually matters here. Survival of Silver, which I've got a lot of weird things about this episode too.
It was filmed in Joshua Tree, I would have to assume. Like that background, I feel like
that's what
so
it looked like.
Yeah. It looks so much like Joshua Tree, and it's local to LA, pretty much. So.
Yeah, it's what, like an hour and a half away, 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, in fact, that's the question we should have. We should have Joe ask him.
So, yeah, it was a fun one.
Elle, if you want to run down kind of the overview of this episode for us.
Well, there's a lot of anger, and they shoot all the Jawas, and, you know, like, I think, no, that's Star Wars. That's Star Wars. But I still feel like it's applicable for this particular episode. Yeah, we basically get to find out that, like, the little ice box has melted, and our caveman friend, Justin, comes out of it as a Silver Ranger. We get a little more background story with Andros, and this is his best friend, and, yeah. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. I'm trying to remember like all the specifics.
Sacrificed himself during a battle, and when sacrificing himself during a battle, he ends up having to be put inside of this kind of ice, the rejuvenation chamber or whatever like that, and he's frozen.
The cryogenic.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? You know who else is frozen right now, Daniel?
Who?
You.
What?
Oh, no. Actually, yeah, you're frozen for me too.
Your video is stuck.
What?
But you're stuck on a good face. It's not like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
weird wonky
Yeah.
face. So it's a good time for it to be frozen for you.
Yeah, don't try to fix it because that might break other stuff. But we can hear you just fine. So keep talking.
Oh, well, yeah. So that's what happens there. And
And
with
also Star Wars knows. Like there's so many Star Wars references I feel like in this, whether it was intentional or not.
Yeah. There were a lot of them.
No, Andros's nose so good.
So I'm gonna jump into my questions about this episode. I don't know if
Okay.
either of you guys will really be able to answer this for me. So we learned that Zhane has been in this cryogenic stasis pod thing.
Did Daniel leave?
No, he's back.
Oh, you're back. You just switched spots for me though.
So we learned that Zhane was frozen in this thing.
Yes.
In this contraption that's supposed to heal him 2 years ago, and he's been there for 2 years, and that Andros doesn't know how long it's going to take for him to be healed.
Yeah.
But he will eventually be healed.
Right.
It seems.
And then they were in that battle in space, and things on the ship got kind of screwed up, and they lose power, and so he starts thawing out in this episode.
Yeah. Because the Jawas start taking apart the ship, and the refrigeration process is starting to be destroyed.
This is really my only issue with this episode is that the same episode that we met him in and learned why he was in that pod is the same episode that he came out of like less than a couple of hours later. Like it just seemed.
It was a very short build-up.
Yeah, it was a very, very short build-up, and it seemed very convenient that it was like, oh, hey, here's this guy, and this is what's going on with him. Look, he's fine. Like, it just kind of... It happened a little bit too quickly for me.
Like, but we're adults, and this is aimed to, like, 7 to 10-year-old children, I think, are the primary demographics. So it's building them up for, like, the movies that you will see as an adult.
I think I would have been even... I would have been okay if when he went into that room at the end of the previous episode, if we had learned who Zhane was and why he was there then. Even though it's not a huge time difference, because even if we were watching these like live as they aired, it would have been okay. It would have been a day difference, so it wouldn't have been that much time going through. But I think the pacing would have at least been a little bit better because we would have had a little bit of time to process. Okay, they're introducing a new character, and he's here. Now we're continuing, and like a few days later or a week later or whatever, this stuff is happening, and now he's being popped out. It was just a weird pace for me.
It was, but when he made his entrance, it was so good. His suit looks so good. Yeah. The white and the gold and the silver. He gets a sword. Like, dude, this guy came out. I'm like, heck yes. This is like when Tommy was revealed as like the White Ranger, and you're like, damn, that suit is dope. Like, that just looks so good.
It was great to see him. It was really great to see him. It's also great to know that it is also Daniel Diaz's birthday today. So happy birthday, Daniel Diaz.
Oh, I just saw that in the chat. Happy birthday, Daniel Diaz.
Happy birthday, Bestie. How's it going? I'm glad you made it back to California. I hope you got your In-N-Out burger.
Oh, yeah. Oh, please.
Oh, now I want a burger.
So good.
Man, I just made one yesterday. I'm good. Anyway. So, Zhane shows up as, I mean, really, no one else to say it, but badass. Zhane's badass.
He did, and he had that like space opera entrance too, like the light looking so badass. I love it. Love it.
I love everything about it, and that's why I was like, okay, I get it. You can be as dope as you are. That's why also in the logo the word space is silver, because it's like, here's the Sixth Ranger. Here's how cool he is. So much so that we're going to make sure we incorporate it within the logo. And that's why space is written in silver. I didn't even know that, but I noticed it, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Because it's really now, at this moment, he becomes a pinnacle character that you want to know more about and you want to see more. I mean, it's always great when a Sixth Ranger shows up. And this Sixth Ranger is one that's supposed to be amazing. as they go on and give us more info about them. So I love it.
So
did you guys? Am I reading into this, or did you guys also read maybe Andros and him had maybe some sort of relationship previously? It seemed like Andros. No, it's just a personal ship.
I just feel best friends.
Just really close friends.
Yeah, they're just really close best friends. He says it like he was best friend. Blah, blah,
I know,
blah.
but maybe best friends. Like I don't know.
Maybe that's why he's not that into Ashley. I don't know.
Well, because at the end, I think it would be like a fun love triangle because Ashley seemed like to make things really awkward. It's like, I'm Ashley. Look at this new blonde-haired, hot Silver Ranger. And like she like kind of pushes everyone out of the way to like get at him. And I'm like, yo, Ashley, you look thirsty. You look thirsty. And I feel like Andrews and like they not interested in you, girl.
She immediately was like, hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Yeah.
I'm thinking. It was like, whoa, girl, just seriously, calm down.
It was awkward. It was a little awkward to me.
A little bit. I'm gonna cut you off there though, because we only have a few minutes left before I have to set up for the interview with Justin Nemo.
Oh, yes.
So one more time, guys, while we're going through the notes and the errors here. I've seen a couple of you put your ratings in the chat already, but go ahead and put your ratings in. And again, Thomas Franco right now is the only one who's given us any questions for Justin Nemo. There's 13 of you guys that are in here watching, so I'm expecting to get some more. So go ahead and put your questions in there for him. We will play those in the Retro Ranger episode next week. But for now, let us take a look at the notes from this episode. The monster who put Zhane in a coma is a red repainted version of Ghoulam from Big Bad Beetleborgs. The same monster later appeared in Countdown to Destruction as part of Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed's army. This monster has the fan-made name of Kenovan Ouster 35. If someone could explain to me why he has that name, I would appreciate it. Because again, there's a number 35. So
KO 30.
Oh, you are onto something, Josh.
There we go. Alpha 6, in his attempt to scare off some creatures that have infiltrated the megaship, claims to the intruders that he is a karate expert. Other than Alpha 5's futile attempt to fight off Ivan Ooze in the first Power Rangers movie, this is the first known time that an Alpha robot claims to have been trained in martial arts, at least with the shinier, updated body. However, he may have been fibbing in an attempt to scare them. That's kind of how I took it, was that he was like, come on, guys, I know karate, back off. Like, I didn't think he was serious. This episode marks the first appearance of the Astro Delta Megazord since episode 17.
Yeah.
That doesn't really seem all that significant because that was only 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
This is the first episode. This is the first appearance of a Silver Ranger in the entire franchise.
Yeah.
Errors. When the Rangers crash land on the planet, they say that they have to make external repairs on the hull, yet they go outside and battle the monster and the goons and make no repairs. But after Zhane destroys the monster, they are able to take off without actually making any repairs. When Zhane first destroys the monster, the clouds in the background make a noticeable jump. I don't think I noticed that.
I didn't notice that.
When the Rangers are on the planet, the shuttle is not in the ship, but it's later used as part of the Megazord. I just assumed that it was flying around in space.
Yeah.
Same. See, again, who cares? Those aren't really errors. I hate when they do that.
And when Zhane is first seen aboard the Astro Megaship meeting Alpha 6, a view screen shows an external view of the Astro Megazord already heading towards Earth. This is just repurposed stock footage with no discernible explanation as to where the recording is coming from. I just assumed that it was on the screen.
Yeah,
I did. One last thing that I did really enjoy in this episode was after they knocked the monster over, right before the monster explodes, the Megazord just kind of turns around and looks at the camera. I was waiting for the Megazord to put on some sunglasses and start walking away.
Bum, bum, bum.
Oh, that was hilarious.
But I watched that and like I had I had to rewind that like 2 or 3 times because I was like, this is great. This is literally someone walking away from an explosion on purpose.
Bravo.
Fantastic. But this part here, this big fight was also part of the reference that I was talking about earlier when I noticed that all the Rangers didn't have individual Zords. Because when the Silver Ranger appeared, I was like, wait, where's his Zord fitting into everything that's going on? And I had to keep going back to the Zord being put together, and I'm like, wait a second, there's only these 2 pieces, and then that third piece. They like this is all one thing.
He'll probably get the. I'm assuming
pieces.
He's gonna get the third piece, like Pyramid Head.
Maybe.
Who knows?
I don't know, unless he gets like a super OP Zord. Like that's usually what happens when like the Special Ranger comes in. They get something special,
right,
crazy overpowered.
So if you guys want to go through, if one of you are able to go through the scores in the chat here, there are a couple of questions for Justin that popped up here, and I'm just going to copy them out before I lose them.
Cool. I can't.
All right. So I don't know where these started. Well, we have Jared Hodges, I think, who gives it a 5. Larry Newbill gives it a 5. Mikey Nerd Talk gives it a 4. John Boys 777 gives it a 4. Thomas Frankel, Zhane is the OG Silver Ranger, so he has. Oh, this is his badass debut, so I'm giving it a 5 out of 5.
Cool.
What else do we have? Jared Hodges has a question. Blah, 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 blah. Questions. I think that's the end of the ratings. So, Josh, you get to go first. What would you rate this episode?
I'm actually going to give this one I'm going to give it a 4. I would lean closer to a 3.5 with it just because of those pacing issues that I had with how the Silver Ranger is actually being introduced. However, this was a fun episode. I am really interested in seeing where the storyline with the Silver Ranger goes. And also for that last scene with the Megazord turning away from the explosion. Like, just for that alone, I should give it a 5. In fact, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna give this episode a 5 just because of just because of that one scene. This episode, this is a 5. That one shot. That's all I needed.
Bravo.
All right, Daniel.
For myself, this episode gets a 5. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I like the introduction of a new character, exposition, giving me a little bit more to build off of. Also, it's a shock that they were able to give me more meat for Andros besides what we already know.
Yes.
So it was like, and it wasn't just like more meat concerning my sister and I'm looking for her, but it was like, oh, Andros as a person. I like that. So this episode, 5.
Yeah, I have to say the same thing. Like, I really liked it. I felt it was very Star Warsy, and I loved it. And I also did miss one of the ratings from Pikachu Master. Gives it a 4 out of 5 because the first appearance of Han Solo. Wait, wrong series, because, Silver Ranger and the history with him and Andros. That would be super interesting to have our Luke and to have our Han Solo kind of reunited as best friends. That will probably change or add to the dynamic and make Andros more comfortable. Like, I like that he was already, being able to be comfortable around the other Rangers, considering he was so, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Standoffish in the beginning. And now that his best friend is here and he has someone that he has history with, I'm interested to see the Ranger dynamic grow.
Yeah.
So 5 from me.
Really quick here before we sign off. Larry Newbill says that I better say 5, which you got your wish because I did. And Pikachu Master also gives it a 5, and Edward Sanchez gives it a 5. Now I just want to go to. Well, they popped those in as we were talking.
Oh, okay. I don't know how to read.
I just want to go through the questions that I have here really, really quick, just to make sure I have everyone's. I have a question from Thomas Franco, Jared Hodges, John Boys 777, Pikachu Master 542, and Larry Newbill. I believe those are the only questions that were in there. If I missed anyone, go ahead and put it in now so that we don't miss it, because we've got about 2 minutes before we have to wrap this out. So before we go, last thoughts, Daniel.
once again, this episode, the silver one, was the best out of what we saw. I loved it. I enjoyed it. Out of the three, the weakest for me was the Blue Ranger episode, and of course, the switcheroo was right in the middle, which is where it was when we viewed it. I enjoyed it. I love doing this, and I can't wait for next week.
Elle?
Yeah, same. Like I thought these 3 episodes are actually super entertaining, but I think I'm still shocked. Like I don't know why. Like Space has proved itself to be super good, especially coming off of Turbo, but I love it. Even the bad episodes like still get a really high rating from me. So can't wait to see what happens.
I agree with both of you guys. It's funny how it worked out that we all decided that we liked episode 18 the least and episode
Yes.
20 the most, and in order. It just kind of went that way. Completely not planned. That just kind of happened.
Oh.
Once again, for all of you guys here that are watching, in about 10 minutes off air, we are going to be talking with Justin Nemo, asking him the questions that we got from you guys here in the chat. Those will be played next week during the episode. And then the actual interview section will be on our Patreon at patreon.com/Cosmic Protectors. If you guys give us a follow on there, I will make sure that the interview is available to everyone at the $5 level and up, which is a change. Usually that's available from the next tier up, but just for this week, we will do this one at the lower level for you guys. I think that is going to do it for us for this week, though. So please tune back in later tonight on YouTube for our Illuminerdi Wrestling Order if you guys enjoy WWE. Cedric Alexander is our special guest tonight. And then you can also follow us on Twitch. I'll be doing some random Twitch streams during the week. I think Zhane, I, and possibly Daniel are going to be hopping into DC Universe Online and playing around with that. But for now, we must bid you adieu.
Bye guys. Thanks for
Bye-bye,
tuning in.
everyone.
Bye-bye.